Hey there, my name is Chris, and for the hackathon, I put together an app called Arbichain. Now, some of you might be familiar with the process of arbitration, and typically this is a dispute management process that involves picking a third party and having that third party more or less decide who's right in a given scenario instead of going through a full court procedure. And if you've gone through this recently, you know it's not always the most straightforward. You have to deal with things like scheduling. You have to, pick an arbiter. You might use a platform, and there are platforms for this that exist. But I wanted to create something using a few of the sponsor technologies to make it much easier to initiate your own arbitration processes with a simple interface. Now, the way this works is you come to the app and you can either connect a few different supported blockchains, in particular Galadriel, Fuji, or Sepolia. And depending on which one you select, you're able to more or less initiate a case that's represented as its own smart contract to one of those networks with the other parties involved. When you create the case, a few things happen behind the scenes, and I just have some pre-filled demo data here, but you could come up with any case that you wanted to handle. And once the case is created, a URL gets generated that represents the case, as well as you can see on the original network that contract that represents the status of the case as it evolves and as folks interact with the contract. Now, this URL can be shared with the different parties, and you'll notice in the first step of the flow I specified the addresses. If I toggle to the other address, which is actually on this account, you'll notice it switches between plaintiff and defendant. And so the different folks that are involved, in this case Sarah and John, will each have the opportunity to provide a statement. I can go ahead and write something real quick. And I had a prepared statement there. I can also upload a document, such as like a witness or anything, and this is all managed by Filecoin. So the actual attachment is only provided to the judge when they're evaluating the case. And so me as Sarah, I can come in and submit my evidence at any point before the deadline. What this actually does is submit a transaction, encrypts the data using LIT protocols, and if I go ahead and refresh the page, as Sarah, you can see the evidence was submitted. If I toggle over to the judge immediately is able to see the defendant's comment as well as access the document that was uploaded through the IPFS gateway on Filecoin. Now, the judge can actually make a ruling right now by saying, hey, continue anyway, like I have enough information to make a judgment here. I can get an AI recommendation. And what this does is calls an LLM that's actually on chain, assembles all the information from the description of the case as well as the statements that were provided to give a summary and potential verdict to the judge in the decision making. After a moment, you'll see the AI recommendation here, and I'm just going to go ahead and say plaintiff 1, continue anyway, and decide the case. A few different things that happen involving Chainlink here, and we're actually using the verifiable random functions to generate a truly or pseudo-random value that presents the feedback in a random order based on what's generated on the contract. And so if I refresh the page as well here, hopefully the event has settled, and you can see indeed the case was closed by the judge, and you could see that final contract as well as all the submissions from the different parties, getting the AI assessment as well as the final decision on the chain here. As for the code, it's available on my GitHub. I encourage you to check it out, but that's pretty much the Arbitrain project, and thanks for your time.